Hello and welcome to Yin-Yoga with Gayle. If you've never done Yin-Yoga before, think of it just as longer held poses. Holding these poses long enough so that we get a chance to really be mindful and find all there is to explore in each pose. Know that yoga should not feel painful or unsafe. This is especially true in Yin because we'll be trying to let go of any supporting structures. So you may not go into a shape as clearly or as deeply as you would like. And that's just one of the things that we need to be mindful of and have the courage to do so. So starting your first pose, just sitting in Sukhasana, easy crossed legs. There's lots of options. It doesn't have to be crossed legs, just sitting with the spine tall is enough. You might find comfort by placing a pillow under the hips or a block. Maybe it suits you to sit in a chair. As long as the spine is nice and tall, not slumped over, that's what you're after. Using this time to settle in. So we've got around about 6 poses today. Only taking about 1 minute for each pose. We're coming into the next one. So I'm just setting up my mat here and I've got some cushions underneath just to protect my knees. Notice that I am wearing footwear, and that's because most of Yin is done seated. If this was a stronger practice, say a Hatha yoga, then I would have to take my shoes and my socks off. I would need to be able to use the muscles under my feet to really feel the mat or the floor. So this pose is called melting heart. I've got wide knees, heels are together, and I'm just relaxing forward. If you notice the line of my back, after a little bit you might see an increase in that very subtle back bend as the muscles feel so safe and so relaxed that they sink down. The chest gently sinks down towards the mat. And this is where it gets its name from. The heart literally softens and melts towards the mat. If you have high blood pressure or you're not enjoying this particular pose with the head or the neck, see if you can maybe place a block underneath the forehead, or maybe just curl up some fists and place them underneath the forehead that way to support the head and the neck. Let's come and explore another pose. Untucking the feet. Getting the pillows just around where you might need them. So we're coming into Hero's pose. It's just a kneeling pose, a couple of variations. To start off, you might not need any props at all. If that's the case, come on in, settle down and enjoy. If you find that this is too much on the knees, then use the option that I've taken here, placing the pillow between the hips and the heels. This lessens the angle of the knees. They don't have to open at the front and squeeze behind as much. Maybe for you, the tops of the ankles are really quite tight and this is not a comfortable pose. You could place the cushion underneath the feet, lessening the angle, or maybe even leaning forward a little bit, taking the weight of the body off of the ankles. Once you find your pose, your job is to remain as still as you can. Staying in stillness. And that's one of the tricky things about yin. When you're ready, take the weight off of the heels and gently, slowly make your way out of the pose itself. Might need a little bit of a wiggle. And just removing the props. So we're exploring a little bit more now the inside thigh, inside calf muscles. Again, it feels very similar to melting heart. And you could go back to melting heart quite easily, no problem at all. In this particular pose, this is a reclined frog pose. Got my knees wide apart. My toes are looking towards the outsides, away from the midline. Hips are up, and you notice that my hips are pretty much over the knees. That feels good for my body. And then gently tapering down, relaxing one side of the neck. Elbows out to the side. And a lovely variation of this pose is to have the forehead straight down towards the mat, making fists out of the hands and placing them on the forehead, between the forehead and the mat. Staying as still as you can. Noticing the body moving, relaxing, without being ordered to do it by your brain. Coming out of the pose, taking the hands down to around the shoulder level. You can press and lift yourself up. Take it slowly. Arranging the mats so that you can come to the other side. Knees are wide, feet are together, toes looking to the outside, away from the midline. Reclining down, elbows down and relaxed, and the head simply looks to the other side. If this is not comfortable for your neck or maybe your shoulders, simply place the hands under the forehead and have the forehead looking straight down. Now it's comfortable to have an extra pillow or maybe a block. Maybe curl the fists. Place them underneath the forehead so that you can once again notice stillness. You might feel some subtle shifts in the body. as the weight of the body seems to move you down towards the mat. Just noticing, using a mindful practice to notice the body at work, even when it looks like nothing's happening. Keep returning to stillness. Stillness of the body and the mind. Coming out of the pose like we did last time, hands down towards the shoulders. Press and lift up. And explore the movement in the joints. Yin doesn't work with the muscles. Yin works with the connection between muscles, the joints of the body, allowing the joints to relax and open. So sitting up nice and tall, and you might find that it's helpful to have a pillow or two underneath your hips. Bringing the feet in as far as comfortably possible. I'm going to come off of my pillow, bringing my hips towards heels. Don't worry if the knees pop up like mine are. There's no particular shape to look like. Everybody's different, and yet everybody should feel the same. Where can you be still? Stillness in the hips, shoulders, the neck, the mind. Giving yourself a chance to be still and notice what's going on around you. Noticing the working of the body. We're not aiming for any particular thing. This is all process driven. Noticing what's happening as we remain still. Noticing the breath. Not trying to breathe in any particular way. Stillness. To come out of this pose, tuck the chin in first. Gently slide the legs. It's helpful to keep a nice knee bend, especially if you're a bit tight behind the thighs. And again, moving any pillows that you might have out of the way. So legs nice and long this time. You might notice that I've got really tight hamstrings, the muscles behind the thigh. And here's a really good option. I can just place a rolled up blanket or the pillow that I've got here, one under each thigh. Now I'm interested in arranging my pelvis so that it sits up nice and tall and supports my spine. So I'm lifting up, trying to rock the top of my hips forward, the bowl of the pelvis. Feeling length in the spine. and length in the legs with softness behind the knees. Your toes may roll out like mine. Maybe they might roll inwards or stay pointed with the toes straight up. It all depends on the anatomy of your body. Remember, we're focusing on joints. So noticing the ankles, the knees, the hips. Where do you feel tension? Can you relax the tension by loosening muscle activation? For me, after a moment or two, I realized that I was still holding tension at the top of my thighs in front of the hips. You might find that there's muscle tension in the back or the shoulders. Not moving deeper into the pose, just finding spaciousness while staying exactly where you are. And when you're ready, slowly coming out of it. Take your time. I'm enjoying a nice little counter pose there. And just taking the weight of the legs as I lift that pillow out of the way. Now find a little spot on the mat or on the carpet. And take your feet wide apart, crossing the leg that's nearest to me, nearest to the screen, up and over the other knee. And then you might have noticed a subtle shift of the foot that's away from you, away from my midline. So this is a very subtle, very gentle twist. Just holding the top knee and allowing length in the hip that's closest to your screen. Close the eyes. Tune into your body. Staying with stillness and just noticing. Give yourself time. Allowing the body to do its own thing. Giving up control as long as you feel safe. And you might feel that you're not stretching as much as you normally would. Just remember, we're not really focusing on muscles, on that stretch feel. Starting to just gently come out of it, supporting the head, supporting the leg. You might need a little bit of a wriggle around before you move to the other side. And one of the keys with this move, crossing the foot that's furthest away from the camera, the one that's closest, did you see that? It moved slightly to one side, away from my midline. A very gentle twist, holding onto the knee just to support it, not pulling, not straining. There's the shape. Can I stay still? can I relax? Noticing any tension and just allowing it to give up. Any stress. If the body feels safe, it's the time when it will relax. It sort of feels like sand moving, shifting from one point in the body to another. You might feel a sense of heaviness or softness. And in Yin we call this the second stretch. You're welcome to explore this new space, or maybe just sit with it and notice. Take a nice breath in and slowly relaxing the body. In your own time, just coming up to seated. I'm going to use a pillow for support, and that's because my knees don't open as wide as I'd like them to. I need a little bit of support, lifting the hips up. So coming back into Sukhasana. Noticing where the muscles are just automatically gripping to hold the body upright. And asking permission, do I feel safe enough to just let go of any tension, let go of support? It's relaxing into this pose. Stillness and noticing. Completely opposite to most of the work that we do in our everyday lives. Moving without movement. Taking your hands to your heart space. And namaste, everyone. Until next time. Thanks for watching.